Hello everybody and welcome back to Robert's Reviews. It is day the 2nd of... That was kind of cool with the light there. Day the 2nd. Day the 2nd of the 12 Days of Christmas special. And today we are going to be talking about another one of the great ones, Elf. Elf was released in 2003. It was written by David Berenbaum and directed by the one and only Jon Favreau, who is... I love Jon Favreau. People who have watched my channel know that I love Jon Favreau. For those of you who don't know who that is, he's Happy Hogan in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He directed the first two Iron Man movies as well. He directed the movies Athura. He did... I think he's doing The Mandalorian, right? Pretty sure. Pretty confident he's doing The Mandalorian right now. But anyway, moving on. So, Elf. Elf came out in 2003, which surprises me because, well, I mean, obviously I was too young to know. I came out... I'm sorry, I have coronavirus. Well, I was born in 2001. So that shows how old this movie is. This movie is actually younger than I am, which makes me feel kind of good. However, I am older than How the Grinch Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey in it, which makes me feel less good. I am also, I'm younger. I'm older than Elf, but I'm younger than the Grinch. And I'm a lot younger than Home Alone. That should make Home Alone feel old. Elf should make me feel old, which it does, because it's a classic. And I am... Does it make me a classic? I'm a classic. I'm sorry, I'm loopy right now. I'm on lots of drugs. Okay, for those of you who don't know what Elf is about, for one, it's not on Netflix, unfortunately. They have it on some streaming platforms. I don't remember which one. I think I rented it, even though I think it's on Showtime. That might have been a waste of $3. I think it might actually be on Showtime, but I don't remember for sure. It's on some streaming platform, probably. I'm sure you can find it somewhere. If you haven't watched it, you really should watch it. It's fantastic. For those of you who haven't seen Elf, you're crazy. But it's generally about this kid who is in an orphanage, and then he crawls his way into Santa's sack. And he gets flown to the North Pole on accident, where he is born and... Well, he was already born. He is raised by elves and by Santa. And then when he gets older, he is told he is adopted. And then he goes to New York and he tries to find his father. But he's an elf. And everyone thinks he's crazy because he thinks he's an elf. And they don't think elves exist, which... Fair enough. One thing I think this movie did really well is understanding, like... reality and how reality can kind of be bent. So obviously the viewer knows, right? As a viewer, like when I watched Elf, I physically knew that Santa does not exist. For those youngins who are watching my channel, Santa exists, I promise. I'm just this is just for gits and shekels. For the old ones, yeah, Santa doesn't exist. Which I realize the young ones are also going to notice that, but nobody under the age of 10 watches my thing, probably. And if you do, hey, welcome to the channel, hey! But we know that Santa does not exist. But in the beginning of the movie, we understand that Santa does exist in the realm of the elf world, right? Which, for me, breaks my brain a little bit. Because then we go to New York City, and we see that Walter Hobbs does not believe in Santa. Oof. Almost broke something. And then... a lot of people don't believe in Santa in New York City. And I'm like, why? Right? Because here's... This is going to hurt your brain. But follow me, please. So, if Santa did not exist, right, then parents would know that he does not exist because they would have to buy the presents for the kids, right? Which is true. That happens now, okay? But if Santa did exist, then parents would not have to buy presents for kids, and therefore parents would know that Santa existed, and therefore the kids would never be told that he did not exist. right? So, it hurts me when movies try to ignore this really weird, like, reality imbalance. But because, obviously, if Santa exists, then no one would know that he doesn't exist. That's like... That's got to be a paradox. If somebody knows anything about that, let me know. But anyway, I think that it's interesting that movies try to downplay that and they try to ignore it. And this one kind of did okay with it. It did better than some other movies that I've seen. So I was actually kind of impressed that we were able to just kind of gloss over it and really ignore it for the most part of the movie until the end, where it kind of got a little annoying. But then everyone believed, so then nothing mattered. Although if presents just kind of randomly appeared under a Christmas tree in my household and I was a parent, I would be confused and slightly scared. And I would definitely be upgrading my security system. But anyway, regardless, good for you. Let's talk about the acting briefly, and then we can wrap it up for today. Will Ferrell as Buddy the Elf. First of all, iconic. I know that a lot of people were thinking about doing the role for this. I know that Jim Carrey was supposed to play Elf as well, or at least it was rumored that he was supposed to, because apparently the screenplay was written in like 1990, even though this movie didn't even come out until 2003. So it took a long time to make. And that's very interesting. I mean, there's nobody that could have done it better than Will Ferrell. I think that Will Ferrell and Jim Carrey and, like, you know, all the greats like Steve Carell and stuff like that, they have their spots where they can be good. Okay, good for you. But they shouldn't, like, cross streams, you know? Like, if try to imagine, like, Steve Carell or Will Ferrell as the Grinch, okay? And now try to imagine, like, Steve Carell as Elf. It just doesn't quite work, you know? And so I'm really glad that they chose Will Ferrell for this. I think he did phenomenal. The torture he must have gone through to film this. I mean, look at all the sugar he had to eat. He actually did eat all that stuff, by the way. I do know that. They had to film the scene where he ate the breakfast spaghetti twice because he vomited the first time that he tried it, which is just freaking hilarious. But anyway, wonderful job for Will Ferrell, which is good for me to say that because I don't like Will Ferrell in general. And it's not that I don't like Will Ferrell. I just don't like a lot of his movies. Like, I didn't like Anchorman almost at all. I don't remember what I gave that review. It's been a while. Sorry. It's been a while since I did that one. It's been like 3 or 4 months. But I do remember I didn't like it very much. But I love Step Brothers. Step Brothers is one of the most funniest movies in the entire world. And I stand by that fact to this day. That movie is hilarious. I like it a lot. And I love Elf. But in general, when it comes to Will Ferrell, I'm not a huge fan of his comedy style, which is fine. I don't have to be. But he did really, really good in this movie. James Caan as Walter Hobbs. Walter was one of my favorite characters in this movie. I really enjoyed watching The Father. The Father was hilarious and phenomenal the entire time. And particularly in his relationship with Buddy, especially when he's like being kind of sarcastic with him in the beginning, when he's like, "Oh yeah, you're an elf. Okay, cool." He's really good at like portraying that while also being kind of strict and like still businesslike. And then in the end, he turns into a full-fledged father and then a full Santa believer. Good stuff. Zooey Deschanel, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, I'm very sorry, as Jovi. First of all, wow, she's gorgeous. And second of all, phenomenal job. She's got a wonderful singing voice. I'm assuming it's actually her voice. It sounds like her voice. I don't think it was dubbed. I don't think they had the budget for it to be dubbed. But wonderful job as a love interest for Buddy. You have to be kind of crazy to fall in love with Buddy the Elf. And she just kind of felt like this like kind of a lone person and almost like an outcast, which really is what Buddy is as well. So I think that's what really drew them together. And it didn't feel weird that they were together. It really felt natural and cool, which is good because it just as easily could have felt unnatural and not cool. Daniel Tay as Michael. This is the last actor I wanted to talk about. I just really enjoyed his performance. I thought it was interesting. I think it was interesting that they casted him because he kind of looks kind of dopey. And they gave him a lot of really like over large clothes, and I think they did that on purpose just because they wanted him to feel smaller to us. And then towards the end, I think he has like smaller clothes on. He like starts to look more like a regular human being, to show that he's finally becoming, you know, less overshadowed by his parents, and he gets more screen time as we go along. So it's really cool how we can use that as a means of storytelling, in the point of view of, he gets more and more screen time as they go, and he gets better and better as they go, which is really quite an interesting idea that I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but anyway, good for you. That's all I really cared to talk about today with Elf. Most of you have seen it. Most of you already have your opinions. My opinion's not going to change your opinion, or it's not going to make you to watch it, probably. But if you haven't watched it, you really should. It's phenomenal. Sorry, I have COVID. With that, I will give this movie an A+. And that's all I really have for you today. I don't think I have any announcements other than watch out for the next 10 days of Christmas. I cut myself. For the next 10 days of Christmas specials. And we've got a couple videos coming out of Robert's thoughts. If they haven't already come out by now, I don't really know when I'll have that out, but it'll be at some point in the future. But yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, a wonderful week. And as always, keep watching movies, stay educated, and I'll see you guys in the next video where I'll probably have a band-aid on my finger where I cut my finger.